Welcome back to Growth Catalyst Sir. In today's episode, we are going to look at body language. We're going to see how you can learn about body language and how you can use understanding, learning to your advantage. Let's dive in. There are studies which say that 70% of our communication, verbal communication, I'm not even talking about written communication, that's a separate subject. 70% of our verbal communication is all about how you say it. How you say it is a lot more important than actually what you say. You may say something, but the how of what you say is not supporting what you say, then the what you say becomes meaningless. The how, your posture, your gestures, like I'm gesticulating now with my hands, your facial expressions, and the way you come across when you make your point, all of these are the how you say it. These how you say it is a lot more important than whatever you say. The content of what you say, the words, what you say is important, no doubt about that. But how you say is a lot more important. All of us know it already in a way. For example, whenever we get angry and we shout, people remember that we shouted. People don't remember what we got angry about, why they were shouted. All of us know, all of us have this experience. Even at the receiving end, when your boss shouts at you, I'm sure you will remember that your boss shouted at you, but 9 out of 10 times you may not remember what he was shouting for. And that is why it is very important to understand the subject of body language. Let's dive in fully. Let's take a closer look at the verbal communication and see what happens. There are two parts to the verbal communication. One, what you say. Second, as we were talking about, how you say it. The what you say comprises of a few things. One, the words which form the what you say, your tonality, the pitch at whatever you say it, the volume, the pace at which you speak. All of this form the what you say part of it. And even in that, actual words have only about 8 to 10% importance. The rest of the 20-25% is made up of the tonality, pitch, pace, and volume. Then comes a pure body language, how you say it, your facial expressions, whether you are making eye contact or not, whether you are gesticulating or not, your posture, the proximity in which you are speaking, whether you are speaking closer to some person, away from some person, and how you stand. You are standing open, you are standing closed, your micro expressions, all of this make the how you say it. And how you say it, if that is not done well, actually can make people not understand or even worse, misunderstand what you were trying to tell them. That is the reason why you need to understand how you are saying, whatever you are saying, whenever you are saying. The how part is very important. That self-awareness is very important. And also, when you understand this body language, it also helps you to understand how others are saying it. And hence, it gives you an edge, whether it is negotiation, whether you are trying to understand your colleagues, whether you are trying to understand your boss. In all of these situations, even at home, all of these situations, it gives you an edge in terms of understanding people, understand their true motivations, true feelings, because not all the time, not all people are absolutely articulating and telling you exactly how they feel, exactly why they are saying what they are saying. So a lot of times you need to read in between lines, and body language is a tool using which you read between a lot of those lines. Let's see how you can use body language. Posture. Whether you are sitting in an open, relaxed manner, or standing in an open, relaxed manner, or You are sitting or standing in a cross-armed manner, slouching. You can see some people sitting like this, closing their eyes and looking like this. Very obvious that they're either tired or thinking about something deep in contemplation. You don't want to disturb them when they are like that. And when people are standing like this, maybe you turned because they are feeling cold, or maybe they are being defensive. These are some of the signals that you will get. And we'll also see how do you analyze all of these signals together to really form a point of view, whether it is stunned, cold, or they are actually being defensive about it. We'll come to that. But these are some of the signals that you will get when people are open chested posture, or a closed chested posture. That's the first thing that you notice in body language. The second thing that you notice in the body language is whether the person is making eye contact and speaking. The eyes are the windows to the soul. When the eyes are refusing to meet your eyes, when somebody is speaking to you and they are refusing to meet your eyes, it's a very telltale signal that there is something that they don't want you to know. It's a very clear given that they are avoiding you. Maybe they don't want to talk to you. Maybe they are forced to talk to you. Maybe they don't even want to be there. Maybe they don't want to tell the truth. Whatever it is, something is going on. That's a very clear given, especially when somebody is clearly avoiding to look into your eyes. When people look into your eyes and talk about it, these become a less chancy, less probabilistic things. Practice liars can practice and look into your eyes and lie always. But we're talking about normal day-to-day circumstances, normal day-to-day happenings in office and home, that when people avoid your eyes, lots of time, the fact is that they don't want to talk to you, that they don't want to be there. They are thinking of actually avoiding. So think about whether the person is looking into your eyes and speak. And conversely, whenever you speak to somebody, it is important that you speak into their eyes and talk. When you talk to people looking into their eyes, people love it. It is a very clear signal that you are to be trusted, you are trustworthy, you are honest, you are comfortable with them, you want to be there. All of these signals are actually being given by that one gesture of looking into people's eyes and talking. Third thing that people look for in body language is whether people stay a close-fisted, close palm, or open palm. When people are happy, when people have nothing to hide, when people are standing with each other and talk about it, you can notice that their palms are open more often than not. When the palms are open, the body has a way of telling the world that I'm nothing to hide, I'm happy, I'm open, I'm willing to listen to you, and I'm very, very happy to be here. The body gives out these signals when you are happy, you want to be there, and you have nothing to hide. And the opposite starts happening when the body is not happy about being there, that there is something to hide and there is something fishy going on. Automatically, palms become closed. And these become telltale signal where one can understand if the palms are closed, it can also be interpreted as a signal of somebody wanting to hide something. And this signal of pointing out is the opposite. It comes across as authoritative. It can come across also as aggressive a lot of times. So when somebody points out with fingers, it is very clearly that that person is an authority, that person is indicating something, that person can also be seen as an aggressive person. I use this hand gesture many times and I get feedback saying that you are very, very authoritative. Who are nice to me, tell me that I'm very, very authoritative. What it also means is that I'm coming across as aggressive whenever I use a lot of finger pointing in my speeches. But these are some of the body signals that you need to be aware of, that when you use this finger pointing, you will come across as authoritative. And therefore, when you want to make authoritative points, you may want to use finger pointing wantedly. But if you use it very often, you may come across as aggressive person. The other thing that you may want to notice and be conscious of is whether the person is smiling and smiling genuinely. There's a smile which is only the mouth is smiling, my eyes are not smiling. There's a genuine smile where the eyes dilate and I'm genuinely interested talking to you. I'm genuinely interested being here. I'm genuinely interested seeing you. When that eyes dilation happens and their face lights up, you may know that the person is genuinely interested in seeing you, being there, and the person is a friendly person. But when the eyes are not smiling, only the mouth is smiling, then if you can start reading that signal, you may know that something is wrong. The person is trying to be friendly, but maybe the person doesn't even want to be there. Maybe the person is not feeling friendly towards you. Maybe the person is under enormous pressure otherwise. Whatever is happening, something is happening. The sum total of all of this is that the smile is not a very genuine smile. And you need to start looking at other clues to really understand what is happening. But the same thing happens when you smile. When you smile, that genuine smile, the face, the eyes dilating, pupils going up, and your entire face lighting up, that tells people that this person is genuinely interested in me, genuinely friendly. And when the eyes are not smiling and only the mouth is curling to make that smile, it makes them wonder what is happening. So remember that it's a two-way street. You can observe, but people are also observing. Mirroring is the next point. You may see that when global leaders meet, and there are a number of photographs, and I will try to share some of the photographs over here. You can see that they mirror each other's body language. One person sits cross-legged, the other person is also sitting exactly like that, as if it is a mirror in front of this person cross-legged. One person leans forward, the other person also leans forward. The person leans backwards, the other person also leans backwards. A lot of this happens unconsciously. It also is a way by which the body tells others that I'm in sync with you. I want my thought process to be in sync with you. I want to be listening to you. I want you to be listening to me. And therefore, let us sync our thought process with each other. That's what the bodies are telling each other without so much of verbal communication going on. And there are lots and lots of these things happen in daily communication. When we sit, when we stand cross-armed, you may see that the other person also quickly, involuntarily, without even thinking, becomes cross-armed. When you open up, the other person also opens up. This happens in daily communication, daily discussions, in team meetings, one-on-one meetings, one-on-one discussions, and so on and so forth. And what it also means is that when you are in a negotiation, when you are discussing with colleague about an important topic, when you want the colleague to understand you, when you want your boss to understand you, when you want your team to understand you, it is a great technique to start mirroring what they do. When you start mirroring, you are sending across a very, very clear signal that, buddy, I want my thought process and your thought process to be in sync with each other. That's the signal that you are sending. And that's a very, very powerful signal, which is clearly interpreted and absorbed and accepted by the other people because people involuntarily, without even thinking, start mirroring each other. Try it out. It will be amazing to see what happens. The last of the tools that I want to think about, to tell about, is proximity. How close you are standing on sitting to a person or how far away. In meetings, especially in office spaces, proximity has to be judged and judged very well, especially in the today's context where a lot of violations of space happens, a lot of violations of privacy happens. A lot of times people are on the edge because they see all kinds of news, and rightly so, about how people in power abuse that power and take advantage of others, especially of women. One needs to be very, very careful of how you use the space. even with male employees. So let's talk about overall employees, and then I will come to women employees later. If you are a boss and you lean from the behind and see what your subordinate is doing, it's not a great way unless you are already very friendly with the person and you are accepted as a caring boss who is respected. Once you build that trust bank over a period of time, then a lot of things goes, but not otherwise. So it's a good idea if you are coming from behind to say that I'm approaching you, I'm standing, can I see what you are doing so that I can help you? So making a lot of these preludes help you. Otherwise, if you stand from behind and see what I'm doing, it's a great invasion, super invasion of my private space. When you sit in front of me, I'm okay. But when you sit to my side, how close you sit also defines whether you are intruding into my personal space or not. A lot of people are very uncomfortable. And now let me come to women employees. When you are dealing, and especially if you're a male employee, dealing with a colleague who's a women employee, you need to be very, very careful intruding into their personal space. It's important that you don't intrude. And if at all you intrude, there is a very good reason. If you are, for example, both of you are looking at the laptop, looking at the screen so that you are discussing, those kind of situations give the context in which intrusion is accepted. But even then, it is a great idea to talk about now, I'm going to look at it. I'm sorry. I may be intruding into your space. And you can use these very words. And people understand. And once you make it clear that you are really conscious of intruding into their space, and with that consciousness, you are still intruding because something has to be done, people are appreciative of the fact that you are really conscious of it, you are really thinking about it, and then asking them for permission. All of that makes them accept that intrusion. But otherwise, intruding into a private space is a very, very bad idea. So 1 to 2 feet away, standing and speaking is a great idea. Anything more than that, you are intruding into others' space. So how do you read body language? How do you assess body language of others? How do you assess about others, what they are going through, what they're feeling? Some of the techniques might help you. To start with, one, look at people and understand what is the baseline behavior. There is a natural way people behave when they are in a neutral position. They're not excited, they're not depressed, and they are going about their motions of life. And how are they sitting? How are they standing? How do they behave? That becomes the baseline behavior of people. This is important because unless you know how normally, naturally people behave, you will not be able to interpret the other behavior, which may be non-natural, not normal, which will tell you something is abnormal here. Okay, let me repeat. It's important. You need to understand what is natural to people. You need to understand what is normal behavior. Normally, person sits like this only. And that's normal. He is hunched. He's always cross-armed and he's looking at his screen. When you know this, then when the person comes and sits like this in front of you, you don't worry about, oh, this person is cross-armed, he's hiding something. You will not think like that because the person is always cross-armed, always sits like this. So it's a natural, normal behavior of the person, natural, normal posture of the person to sit like this, stand like this, which when continues is not an abnormal behavior. But when a person is normally open-chested, normally chirpy, normally smiling, and the person is not smiling, then you know something is wrong. So it is important to understand what is called as a baseline behavior. That's point number one. The second point is looking for a cluster of signals. One signal by itself may not mean much. When somebody who normally sits open armed is now cross armed, it may not mean much. It may be just that the cold is high, turned hair, and therefore the person is cross armed and protecting himself, his body from the dropping temperature. It may be just that. But when it comes with a set of other signals, let's say he is cross armed, sitting in front of you, you are discussing something, He's not even meeting your eyes. He's sitting like this. He normally look at you. He normally looks at you. He normally smiles. And now this person is avoiding eye contact. This person is looking at this, looking like this, and is not even smiling. A lot of these together now tells you that something is wrong. You would get to know only something is wrong. Then you need to probe. Then you need to understand. But you get a clear understanding that something is wrong, something is normal because you know the normal behavior, normal posture. It is also important to understand what is culturally acceptable. In a lot of culture, people stand a little distant. People sit a little distant in hierarchical cultures, in hierarchical companies. People stand up as soon as the chairman comes in. People stand up as soon as the boss walks in. People don't sit in the same uh, side near the boss. Near the boss, only the next person who is in hierarchy after the boss should sit in. All of these could be codes of some culture. And hence, you need to understand a little bit of what culture you're operating. I'm talking about this because we are all operating in cross-cultural environments, and we get into online meetings again where a lot of people drawn from different cultures come in, and therefore this point may be very, very important. You also need to get the cultural nuance into account, where it may be that somebody is not expected to speak unless he is asked a direct question. So somebody not speaking at all may not mean much if that culture is like that, that hierarchy is like that, that particular group of people or that particular company operates like that. So this is again normal behavior, but applicable to that specific culture, that specific context, that specific company. And it is important for you to understand and appreciate that. Otherwise, you will think something is wrong. Where nothing is wrong, this is normal behavior. Active listening and actively looking for what I call as micro expressions is very important in conversation. Sometimes there's a brief flash of anger, and the person is able to cover up, mask it quickly before it subsides. But it takes that a second for the flash of anger to be masked by before the time by the time the person realizes that the flash of anger has appeared in his face, and by the time the person masks it effectively, it has taken a second or two, and you need to be able to watch it. There could be sadness in the person is masking it, laughing along with you. But if you have noticed that micro expression of sadness, the eyes not smiling, only the mouth smiling, the eyes looking sad or eyes cold, means that there is something else happening in that person's life, that the person is not fully here in this environment. While the person may be laughing along with you, the person is not laughing inside. Something else is bothering. Some of these micro expressions keep happening in our faces. We are not so adept at masking all of these things. They still flash in our face. And by the time that we realize it is flashing, it takes us a second or two. And if you're extremely good at controlling ourselves, we are still able to mask it. But if you're a good active listener, you will be able to point out, you will be able to watch it, you will be able to observe. And that observation gives you an edge in terms of understanding that something is happening over here that you need to watch out for. Sometimes in a conversation, when you're sitting and talking and you're sitting opposite to each other or sitting side by side, sometimes there's a foot, the way the person is holding the foot is towards himself or towards you. It's a normal position. A lot of times, people who are friends, who are colleagues, who are intimate, the foot points up towards each other. But when a person is eager to leave, when a person doesn't want to be there, when the person is forced to be there, then the foot gives away. The thinking which is going around in the mind, the foot starts pointing outside. While the body sits near you, the body is sitting opposite you. You are able to watch where the foot is. Many times, if the person is eager to move, the conversation is over, I have delivered what I have came to deliver to you, I have told you what I wanted to tell you, and I want to now leave. If that is the mindset of the person, the foot starts acting accordingly, the foot starts pointing outwards. By this sign itself, we cannot conclude. There are, as I said, cluster of signals. The smile coming down, the eagerness in the voice coming down, the facial expression becoming colder, eyes not meeting you anymore. With that, if the feet is also pointing outwards, you can be sure that the person is wanting to get out of the place. But you need to watch for it. The other things that you can watch out for is how the person is breathing. When the person is relaxed, when we are relaxed, it's a deep, normal breathing which happens. We are not conscious of it, and therefore we don't even know. But when we are nervous, when we are irritated, when we want to get the hell out of there, even when we are excited, this shallow breathing happening and faster breathing happening. So if you are able to observe the shallow or faster breathing happening, it's a clear telltale signal that one of these extremes are happening. Either the person is distressed or the person is excited, but the person is not normal. That much you can very clearly point out. We talked about mirroring. You are in sync with each other. You start mirroring each other. When leaders sit and speak, they clearly sync with each other and mirror each other. And this is a good clue because when the mirroring is not happening, it is a clear signal that some sync is missing. You are not in sync with the other person. Suppose you try to mirror, but the person is not reciprocating that mirroring. Very clear that something is amiss. Again, I'm repeating, by itself is not a clear signal. There are other signals that you need to take into, cluster of signals you need to look into, but this will indicate that you need to look for other signals. This will indicate that some sync is missing somewhere and you need to be alert on this. And there are anxious, clearly anxious movements like hand movements, tapping like this. It may be anxious or it may be that the person is thinking. In many meetings, I've seen people doing this. Very clear that they're thinking about it. They want to form point of view. But in a normal discussion, when you are talking to your colleague, when you're talking to your friend and the friend is doing this, there's something bothering the person. The person is thinking about something. That much is clear. And when the people drum on the table, when the person do this, when a person pulls their hands, when the person obviously does this on the fingernail or through their nails, all are very, very clear indication that they're anxious, they're thinking about something, something is pressing them. The last point is watching for how they say it. While they may say, I'm fine. The eyes are wide, dilating. There's a genuine smile coming across. So I'm fine is I'm fine. I'm fine. There's no smile. There's no eye is not smiling. Even the mouth is not smiling. That I'm fine is a very cold response. Why would there be a cold response? So you need to look at the tonality, the facial expression, and how something is said to understand what is actually being said. Otherwise, I'm fine is I'm fine if it is in a written book or language. But when in a spoken manner, when it is not coming along with warmth and smile and relaxed tonality, it means something that is not meant by those words. So you need to look for tonality. You need to look for the facial expressions which accompany those words to look at and understand a lot more of what is actually being said. Just to summarize, we have been talking about a lot of things here in terms of what body language means, what to observe in people's body language, and also what to be conscious of when your body is speaking a lot more than you are speaking. It's very difficult to master body language. However, you can be conscious and you should be conscious of how you sit, what kind of posture you sit, and what it might mean to people, and surely thinking about it and modify. And lot more importantly, you can watch others' body language, whether they are smiling, whether their facial expressions are there in terms of supporting whatever they are speaking, their gestures, are they supporting what they are speaking, the smile, whether it is supporting what they are speaking, whether body language, what the bodily posture, open armed, cross armed, close armed, the proximity, whether mirroring or not mirroring, all of the points that we have been talking about in this episode or supporting what they're speaking or not speaking, that understanding would help you a lot in whatever you do. Whether it is the emotional intelligence quotient that you want to be a little up ahead, will help you. Whether it is negotiation table, will help you. Whether you want to understand the true mood of your colleagues, your team, your boss, will help you. Will help you to be aware of what really is happening because we don't really tell everything that we feel inside. We don't really tell everything that we want to tell others. We are not that articulative. We sometimes don't even think it is important to tell others. And that is also a reason why we don't tell everything what is going on in our mind. But it is possible to understand that something is bothering people, something is making them excited, something is making them nervous. And that understanding, that awareness will give you an edge in terms of inquiring further, thinking about further as to what is happening. And that understanding would help you to be a better person, better leader, better colleague, so that you can really, really flourish in the working place. Like and subscribe to the channel for more tips like this. See you in our next episode.